Welcome into Boxing Scene's top stories here on ProBox TV. Have no fear, our long-form content is still here. Our big fight breakdowns, our ranking shows. This is just boxing news in bite-sized pieces for you. Download the ProBox TV app and never fall behind in your boxing news. Well, this news involving two fighters who have been through it all. That's right, NONITO DONAIRE said he was in talks with CHOCOLATITO GONZALEZ to have a fight, but on Twitter we find out that might not be the reality of the situation. Of course, with CHOCOLATITO saying there are no talks going on right now. As you see, on behalf of Team CHOCOLATITO, we want to inform our fans that we have no interest at all in fighting Filipino Flash, NONITO DONAIRE, nor are we in talks with his team. He has no title or anything that interests us. Therefore, we wish him luck in retirement. God bless. The king of backhanded compliments. Enjoy your retirement. Some legends I have with me now: Chris Algieri, Paulo Malignaggi, and ESPN analyst Timothy Bradley. Start with you, Chris. This is two guys who have done it all, having a little bit of back and forth. Any chances of a fight between these two gentlemen again?
You know, Jimmy, when this fight was first, brought up, apparently with an interview with NONITO, then I was excited. I'm like, hey, you know what? No, it's two older guys. They've done it. They're first ballot Hall of Famers, both of them. You know, at this point, they can go make some Saudi money. I'm all for it. But CHOCOLATITO coming out the way he did, I love the backhandedness. It's very, 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 very clever. So classy, just like he always is. That speaks to me that he still wants big fights. I think he's really looking at the other guys that are in his division, possibly a rematch, or looking at even the fight with Bam Rodriguez. You know, obviously they sparred together, but listen, when you're at this level, and we say it all the time, it's all about those dollars. If it makes dollars, it makes sense. So, he might be looking at a fight with Bam Rodriguez, a former sparring partner, because that's a big money fight. It's a huge opportunity for both men, really. So that tells me that he's not looking to make quote-unquote super fights in the elderly division. He's looking to make real fights with real guys now. So interesting turn of events, because again, I was excited to hear about that potential matchup, but that looks like that's not going to happen.
Paulie, to that point, very, very interesting what Chris said, where the Legends fights do generate a lot of money. You know, it's this idea that two names that we've known for a long time seems like an easy paycheck. CHOCOLATITO wanting the bigger challenges. What's your thought on that?
They do generate a lot of money at times, but somebody has to put up the money for those fights, and it seems like there's probably not a lot of interest in that regard. I think it could be interesting. Like the champ said, Chris, when it was first talked about it, you start to think about it, and it's almost like a nice play by NONITO as well, because he's a former 118-pound world champion. CHOCOLATITO hasn't been up to 118. I think he's been up as high as 115. But hey, for a little bit of an older fighter, maybe you go to 118, you have a little bit easier time making weight. You take on this older fighter, NONITO. It could look appealing to you, a battle of future first ballot Hall of Famers. But then you start to think about something else Chris said, and that is that he's been in camp with Bam Rodriguez. As a matter of fact, he's been with him recently in camp with Bam Rodriguez, and Bam looked great in the fight. Who knows? Maybe CHOCOLATITO had some good sparring rounds with Bam, and he's thinking, man, I don't need these retirement fights. I don't need these past my prime legend fights. I want some of the smoke at the top of the division still, because I can still handle it. So he might be able to maybe telling himself, I don't want this kind of thing. I don't want to be viewed this way, because if I start accepting these kind of fights, I'm going to be, my brand is going to be viewed this way. I want to be viewed as still among the best in the sport and among the top of my weight class. So I think this is probably the reason he put out that post. He's looking for bigger fights, and it's probably very, very clear. But I don't blame NONITO for trying to make that play. Slightly smaller guy. NONITO's was always a very strong guy at 118. You bring the guy to 18, and he's got a legendary aim. I don't blame NONITO for making the play, but Roman Gonzalez has other plans.
Now, my question for you, Tim, how much do you put behind sparring? We've heard this all the time, like CHOCOLATITO's in Bam Rodriguez's sparring camp. He did really, really well with him. Sparring is sparring. Fighting is fighting. What's your thought? Are we reading a little too much into the sparring, or is it a possibility?
Man, sparring is practice. You can understand how smart a fighter is through sparring. However, it's different. It's not under the bright lights. It's not with 8-ounce or 10-ounce gloves. It's a different level when you go in that fight. So I've been in sparring sessions where I've gotten my behind whooped, but I know on fight night, if I was to fight that same person that I sparred, it would be no problem. I would take care of business. Now, let me tell you guys something. Fighters, we are in the ring. We pass out the paychecks after we get done fighting, but we the last one to get information. So we may not know. Donaire could have been talking to his managers, could have, and CHOCOLATITO probably didn't have a clue. that he was talking to his management, because again, we are the last ones to receive information. I actually like the damn fight. I think it's the perfect fight for both of them. I have a hard time seeing Chocolatito facing Bam Rodriguez because I think it will be a whitewash. I got Bam Rodriguez beating Chocolatito, who is older now, long in the tooth. Now, I give him respect. He's a champion and he deserves respect because he's a legend in the game. But why not have these two legends in the twilight of their careers go head to head? I'm not going to lie. I want to see it. I would love to see Nonito Donaire face Chocolatito. Let's make it happen, guys.
It seems like there's enough gas in both tanks to make for an exciting fight, and it would be a payday. They are names a lot of boxing fans know. We'll see if it gets put together, and as always, if it becomes news, you'll see news here right now. That's right, on ProBox TV.
Wednesday Night Fights.
Dynamite action on Wednesday Night Fights every other Wednesday on your boxing channel.
Coming up on your next Wednesday Night Fights, August 21st. Former Unified World Champion Swift Jarrett Hurd takes on former Unified World Champion Jason Banana Rosario. Live from the ProBox Event Center in Plant City. Get your tickets at proboxtv.com or take your chances at the door. Wednesday Night Fights.
For more ProBox TV, scan the QR code on the screen or go to the App Store and Google Play. ProBox TV, your boxing channel.